Any of you were watching the last version of Day 19's Win Anyway Facebook Live video, you'll have watched a black square for almost all of it because I forgot to actually hit the little button that flips the camera around so I could do a rear camera video and hopefully get a higher quality video. In a sense, I just rewrote my story. Yeah, I know, bad joke. That's the title of today's little video, little Win Anyway inspiration. And it comes from last night's Chicago Cubs game. Cubs are Major League Baseball, for those of you who may not know. I've grown up with the Cubs. I've watched them all my life, particularly on WGN, a cable station which would deliver Cubs games to everyone who had cable. Listen to Harry Carey and Steve Stone. Harry Carey with his Cubs win, Cubs win, holy cow. Always drinking his Budweiser and making a big scene every time the Cubs did anything great. But the Cubs have been a losing team. Their story is one of a losing team. They haven't won a World Series for 108 years. And sometimes they've come close. When I was younger, they had the boys of Zimmer. They had Ryan Sandberg and Mark Grace and Leon Durham and Jody Davis and Ron Say. And they were doing really well. Andre Dawson. They went to the playoffs and they had a chance against the San Diego Padres, but Steve Garvey led them past the Cubbies. And so the Cubs fell short. They've fallen short over the last few years as well. But this is their big year. This is the year everybody's saying they're finally going to win the World Series. And they had a great season, over 100 wins. And last night, in their first round of the playoffs, they were playing Game 4 out of a best-of-5. They were up 2-1, but they were losing in San Francisco to the Giants. At the top of the ninth inning, they're down by, I think, 3 runs. I think it's 5-2. And they scored 4 runs in the top of the ninth, which is a pretty rare situation in baseball, and then held in the bottom of the ninth to win the game. Now, this is a big deal because the Cubs aren't the type of team that does this. This is the type of team that, I mean, if you go throughout history, this is the type of team that looks at being down in the top of the ninth, loses the game, goes back to Chicago, is under an incredible amount of pressure to win, and invariably would lose, particularly to a team whose story is completely the opposite. The Giants, who are winners by trade, and they've won the World Series a few times over the last 6 years. They always seem to win in games when they're going to be expelled from the playoffs. They had won, up till last night, 10 straight elimination games. So last night, both of those teams had their story rewritten a bit. And in particular, the Cubs rewrote their story into one of a team that doesn't give up, a team that doesn't identify itself as a loser, even though the world and history can look at it and say, oh, they're the Cubbies. Eventually, they're going to lose. Now, yes, they might still lose. They could lose in this next round of the playoffs to the Dodgers, or they could lose in the next round in the World Series. But that's not the point. The point is last night they had a moment where they could have been who they've always been, or they could rewrite their story. And they chose to rewrite their story. What this means for you is this thought. Do you want to be the same person you were yesterday? Do you want to do the same things that have gotten you to where you are now and continue to tell the story that you've been telling? Or do you want to change your story? Now, some of you, I'm sure you love your story and you're happy, although I'm surprised because if you're completely happy, there's probably no reason for you to watch these Win Anyway Facebook Lives unless you just like listening to me. And if that's the case, hey, great, thanks. But you're probably missing something. There's a part of your life, there's some subplot, perhaps, if not the main plot, a subplot that you want to improve, a part of your story you want to rewrite, and you have the power to do so. So keep that thought in your mind as you go forward, and remember to always win anyway. I'll be back tomorrow with some more ideas, some more thoughts, who knows, maybe just some more ramblings, and hopefully you haven't watched a black square for the past few minutes. Talk to you later.